1860s, cattle were a huge part of cowboys' lives. Herding them through the mountains and plains throughout the seasons were what made their living. Cowboys would usually brand their cattle. The marks meant that they could graze freely and other people wouldn't know who they belonged to. The cows usually got branded on their left hip. In order to brand the cow, they would heat the design branded irons with fire and press it against the hide of the cattle. The brands would usually have numbers or some design that all matched the other cattle in the herd. The cattle drives usually began in the spring when the grass was new and easily herded on. Starting to herd late could cause major problems such as losing cattle because the streams and rivers might be flooded by melting snow. A herd of 3,000 cows needed 12 to 15 drovers. The drive started right after breakfast and went to dinner every day. After the Civil War, there was a high demand for meat. It was the cowboys' job to get that food in order to make a living and provide for their families. They would drive the cattle from Texas to places such as Abilene, Dodge City, Wichita, and Newtown. There ended up being about 6 million Longhorns in Texas. Even though cowboys started their jobs in these places, they eventually moved to Wyoming, Montana, New Mexico, Colorado, and Arizona to do their work. All sorts of cowboys have now spread across most of the United States. Cowboys' favorite food in the 1860s included various soups, breads, meats, fish, and vegetables. After a long day of herding the cattle, they would have a delicious meal. Many of the animals they would kill when hunting would be their dinner in some form. They would often mix the meat and vegetables to form a stew. Having cornbread with their meal was a given. With meat, they would smoke, jerk, pot, or salt it for storage to eat later. Many of the things they ate in 1860s are still around today. They would cook their meat and other foods around the fire while they were moving along the plains, up and down the mountains when herding cattle. At night, sleeping by a campfire became a regular occurrence when herding their cattle. While the cowboys were sleeping by the fire, they would usually hook their horses up to a piece of wood nearby. Rarely they would leave their horses at an unknown farm close by.